They said, go round to the nursery, and they produced Robert, and they gave no prior warning. It shook me up a bit.
My mum was under light sedation. My dad described my quite shocking deformities to her, and she kind of switched off. She didn't want to see me.
I wished he would go away or die or something. I told the hospital staff I didn't want my baby. I wouldn't under any circumstances take it home. Dad was just straight from the outset very accepting, but at the same time he was a little bit unfair in that he was putting it back onto my mother to make that decision.
My mum had plenty of people giving her an opinion. The local GP said, no, don't bring him home. You've got 4 other kids you need to look after. Put him in a home.
I put my head down in my hands and I broke down completely. He is so ugly. No one could console me. What was I to do? The time came when Mary and Vince had to make that decision as to what do we do with this baby? Do we bring him home? And it was decided that we would have a family meeting. We described just what Robert looked like and what his legs were like. We asked the kids separately if we should bring Robert home or not. Not one of the children hesitated. Each of them was quite definite that we should bring him home. Unlike me, their decision was without reservation.
When we finally did decide to take Robert home, that one doctor come and said to me, Vince, should anything happen to Robert, like a cot death or this SID, whatever they call it, the police will give you no peace at all. And that's for sure. They said, they more or less said, don't take him home and murder him.
Once they had made their decision that this is our baby and he's coming home, they never looked back.
They removed the tumour that was in the middle of my face just after I was born. So I was left with no nose and just a flat face and a couple of nostrils in the middle of my face. And my eyes were still at the side of my head. And these dents right here are where my eyes were until I was 4.5. They talked to my parents about doing major craniofacial reconstruction surgery.
And they told us all the different things that could happen. I'm a gambling man, but I didn't like some of the odds. 16 to 1, he could be left blind. 30 to 1, he could be left mentally insane. 1 chance in 4, he could die.
My mother, she felt very strongly about what he needed to have done to get him through and just to get him by in life.
She got to the point of saying, well, I'll do this alone if I have to. It's too important. And that wasn't a threat and it wasn't blackmail. It was simply saying, this is too important and it has to be done.
They'd never done anything like that before in Brisbane. The Mater Children's Hospital actually set up the craniofacial unit with him as the founding patient.
I suppose we all feel plain sometimes and worried about our looks, but few of us could imagine what it's like to look really strange. Well, Robbie Hogue started life looking like that.
Neurosurgeon Dr. Lee Atkinson treated it like a military exercise to coordinate the dozen or more specialists involved.
The surgery itself meant that we had to cut out the bones around the orbits, around the eyes, and we had to cut out the excess bone that he had where his nose should have been.
They took 2 of the toes from my right leg and they took the cartilage out of that and built a nose and stuck it on my face. And here it is. That came to the attention of Hugh Lunn, who was working for The Australian. And so he